Hi, welcome to Quaint and Curious Volumes. I'm James. Today we're actually going to be talking about a quaint and curious volume. Indeed, a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. My projection of 10 books I was going to read this year, those are classics, not all that forgotten, not all that quaint. But this book that I wanted to talk to you about today it's Fisher's River Sketches by Skit, who was raised there. Skit is a pseudonym for a man named Hardin Taliaferro. And Hardin Taliaferro was born and raised in Surry County, North Carolina. He was born in 1812. A lot of people around there were still veterans of the Revolutionary War from both sides. This was, as he describes it, a poor man's country with very little good farmland except in these narrow river bottoms. Why am I talking about this? Well, Hannah, over at the great channel Hannah's Books, was saying that in 2024, she wanted to do a study of some regional authors. And Hardin Taliaferro is one that I was familiar with. So I wanted to make this little video to share a bit about him. I learned about him when I was doing research on Surry County's old-time music, banjo and fiddle music. And Hardin Taliaferro was probably the earliest writer on the area, and he has a couple of references to fiddle playing and dancing, which I'll read to you in a moment. But these sketches are humorous and in dialogue. A lot of them are akin to tall tales. He describes the country where he grew up. Hold on just a moment. Let's see. It is emphatically a poor man's country. There is but little good land in it. All the valuable land lies on the small rivers and creeks and very narrow bottoms. No rich man will ever be tempted to live there. But notwithstanding their long cold winters and poor lands, the inhabitants by hard labor and by the most rigid economy live well. All extravagance, however, is necessarily excluded, and the people make the greater part of their own apparel, material and all. A large portion of the early settlers were wholly uneducated, and the rest of them had but a rude and imperfect rudimental education. Each settler brought with him the rustic vernacular of his native section and held on to it with great tenacity, thus making a common stock of the richest unwritten rustic literature that ever graced any community. So this is part of the frontier nature. At this time, this part of North Carolina was the frontier. So the people were moving in from parts of Virginia or Pennsylvania and other places further north, or perhaps other parts of North Carolina. Most of the people, a rifle, shot pouch, butcher knife, and an article they dubbed "knock 'em stiff" were of vastly more importance than learning, while the younger ones preferred the sound of the fiddle, a seven-handed reel, and old Sister Phoebe to a log-pole schoolhouse. Yet for all this, they were a clever folk, and one raised among them, who knows their worth every way, has ventured to record some of their deeds of daring. So there he's talking about himself, saying what he's going to do. So there's a few different characters whose stories he relates. One of them is Uncle Davy, who was a hunter and has a big rifle he calls Buck Smasher, and he has a lot of stories that are sort of like tall tales of hunting giant snakes and vast flocks of birds and things like that. And another of the people he writes most about is Johnson Snow, or Tunbelly. He's a short guy with a round pot belly, like a barrel, I suppose. And Tunbelly has a lot of unusual turns of phrase, and there's a series of scenes where he goes to tries to get religion. He goes to church and to a night meeting, and he falls asleep and his snoring disturbs everyone. And at the end of the meeting, people like wake him up, and he's aggravated. He challenges everyone to fight, and they all leave, and he shoves his fists up in the parson's face, and the parson won't fight him, of course, but he declares that he has cleared the tan yard. He's beaten everybody. And then later he gives it another attempt, and he starts going to prayer meetings. And the parson Bellows thinks he's made some progress with him, so he questions him a bit. At last the parson approached him when the following questions were asked and answers were given. "How do you come on, Brother Snow?" asked the parson. "I come on my feet," growled Johnson. "But how do you feel, Brother Snow?" "Ha ha! Nation hungry. I want some hogs gullocks and turnip greens right smack now. If you've got any on 'em, I'm for it right off. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if you draw a bottle and knock 'em stiff on me, nother." "But how do you feel in religious matters, Brother Snow? That's the question," persisted Bellow. "Ha ha! Dang Shacklin, I tell you, if I hain't a thimbleful of religion, if it was to save your neck from the gallows. I can't tell as great tales on the rest of you here, nor I ain't a-gwine to it nother. My chance is mighty slim, but I wouldn't swap it for some of yourn and a mess of turnip greens to boot. Ask me no more questions, else I'll settle the hash with you all quick. That t'other time, when I clear the tan yard, won't be a priming to it." They took the hint, opened the door, and let him out, and thus ended Johnson's religious freak. So they said, okay, old Johnson Snow, he's not much on religion. Anyway, this book is available on Project Gutenberg. It's on the University of North Carolina's website. There is also a book about Hardin Taliaferro called The Humor of H.E. Taliaferro by Raymond Craig. This has a bunch of his stories from Fisher's River Tales Fisher's River Sketches with a biographical sketch and some analysis and other pieces from other sources, things he wrote from magazines. One thing it does that I don't like, it sort of breaks up Fisher's River Sketches into different storytellers. So it puts all the Uncle Davy stories together and all the Johnson Snow stories together, etc. I don't care for it, but it is a good book about Taliaferro, and probably the only one about him that is available anywhere. This is probably the only booktube video that has been made about H.E. Taliaferro. I may hold that title for a long time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.